In a village nestled between rolling hills and shimmering rivers lived a cheerful girl named Cassie. The village was a place where happiness bloomed like flowers in the fields, and where everyone's dreams had already come true. Cassie's parents, Mara and Thomas, ran a cozy bakery, filling the village with the smell of fresh bread and warm pastries. Cassie loved her life, filled with simple joys and the laughter of loved ones, but there was one thing she hadn't experienced yet: adventure. One evening, as the stars twinkled in the sky, Cassie overheard a group of villagers talking about an old legend, the Tree of Wishes. The tree was hidden deep in the forest, and once every 100 years, it would grant a single wish to anyone who found it. Cassie wasn't interested in making a wish. After all, she had everything she could ever want. But something about the story stirred her curiosity. What did the tree look like? What kind of magic surrounded it? The more she thought about it, the more she longed to see it for herself. The next day, Cassie decided she would go on an adventure to find the Tree of Wishes. But there was one thing she needed to do first: talk to her parents. That evening, after the bakery had closed and the kitchen was filled with the comforting smell of fresh bread, Cassie sat down with her parents. Mara was wiping the counters, and Thomas was packing away the leftover loaves.
Mom, Dad,
Cassie began, her voice a little hesitant.
there's something I've been thinking about.
Her parents paused, both looking at her with warm curiosity.
What is it, Cassie?
Mara asked, her eyes sparkling. Cassie took a deep breath.
You know how I've always been curious about the world beyond the village? Well, I heard about the Tree of Wishes, and I want to go find it. Not because I need to make a wish, but because I want to see something magical for myself. I feel like there's so much wonder out there that I haven't seen yet.
Thomas raised an eyebrow, concern mixed with pride on his face.
The Tree of Wishes, huh? That's quite a journey. Why do you want to go alone?
Cassie smiled softly.
I've learned so much from you both. You've shown me how to find joy in every moment and see beauty in everything. I want to explore what's out there with those same eyes, to see if the world is as wonderful as our home. I won't be alone, really, because I'll have all the love and lessons you've given me with me.
Mara's eyes glistened with tears of pride. She walked over and hugged Cassie tightly.
We always knew this day would come. You've grown into someone so full of life and light, and we couldn't be prouder of you. Go, Cassie. Go see the world. But promise us one thing.
Cassie looked up at her parents, her heart swelling with love.
What's that?
Promise that no matter where you go, you'll always come back home,
Thomas said, his voice gentle.
I promise,
Cassie said with a smile, feeling a surge of excitement. The next morning, Cassie's parents prepared her for the journey, giving her a small pouch of her favorite bread and a woven scarf from her mother to keep her warm. With a final hug, Cassie set off, her heart light and full of joy. The forest that lay beyond the village was like something out of a dream. The trees stood tall and majestic, their leaves glowing with the golden light of morning. Cassie walked with a spring in her step, humming a tune as she followed the path deeper into the woods. Hours passed, and just as Cassie was beginning to wonder if she was going in the right direction, she heard a noise, a rustling, followed by a thud. Curious, she followed the sound and came upon a boy about her age, lying on the ground beside a large kite that had tangled itself in the branches of a tree. The boy looked up and smiled sheepishly.
Hi there.
He said, brushing dirt off his clothes.
I didn't expect anyone else to be out here. I'm Arthur, by the way.
Cassie grinned and offered her hand to help him up.
I'm Cassie. What happened here?
Arthur laughed.
I was testing out my new flying kite machine, but as you can see, it didn't go exactly as planned.
Cassie looked up at the kite, which was a curious contraption made of fabric, sticks, and string, all tied together in a way she had never seen before.
It's impressive. Even if it didn't quite work, it's still amazing that you built it.
Arthur beamed.
Thanks. I love building things. My parents run a workshop back in my village, and I've been making gadgets for as long as I can remember. What brings you out here?
I'm on my way to find the Tree of Wishes, because I want to see it for myself.
Arthur's eyes lit up.
The Tree of Wishes? That's incredible. I've always wanted to see it, too. Mind if I join you?
Not at all.
Cassie said, happy to have a companion on her journey. Together, they set off deeper into the forest, sharing stories about their families and their love of discovery. Arthur told Cassie about the inventions he had created, while Cassie shared stories of her parents' bakery and the simple joys of her village life. As they traveled, the forest around them grew more magical. They passed a meadow where fireflies danced in broad daylight, their lights twinkling like stars. They crossed a river on a boat that Arthur rigged up using some fallen branches and string from his kite, laughing as they floated downstream. Finally, after what felt like a dreamlike journey, they arrived at a clearing bathed in golden light. In the center stood the Tree of Wishes, tall and magnificent, its branches heavy with shimmering fruit that glowed like stars. Cassie and Arthur stood in awe, taking in the beauty of the tree, but neither of them felt the need to make a wish. They had already found everything they were looking for in the magic of the journey itself.
I think I know what I want to wish for,
Cassie said, smiling at Arthur. Arthur nodded.
Me too.
Together, they placed their hands on the tree and whispered their wish.
Let the wonder of this journey stay with us always.
And as they stepped back, the tree glowed brighter, as if it understood. Cassie and Arthur smiled at each other, knowing that the magic they had found wasn't in the tree, but in the adventure, the friendship, and the joy of discovering something new. As they walked back toward their homes, they knew one thing for sure: the world was full of wonder, and they would carry that wonder with them, wherever they went. Before they parted ways, Cassie and Arthur stood at the edge of the forest, where their paths would split. They smiled at each other, the kind of smile that only true friends share.
This was the most amazing adventure. I'm glad we met.
Me too.
Cassie replied, her heart light with the memories they had created.
But this isn't the end. Let's promise to meet again, right here, someday.
Arthur nodded, extending his hand.
It's a promise.
Cassie took his hand in a firm shake, sealing the promise with a laugh. As they turned and went their separate ways, they both knew that this wasn't goodbye forever.